The effects of alcohol on kindness. My intention with this video is not to make anyone feel badly because they've struggled with alcohol or drug use and they've been raising children in the meantime. It's more to look at you, if you struggled with this, if you had this growing up, to understand how it may have affected you. Maybe it didn't, but maybe it did. The first effect is the effect it has on children. The challenge with alcohol is that it releases our inhibitions. So we say things that we wouldn't say if our filters were up. As parents, we have all kinds of thoughts that run through our minds. We may be in a bad place one day, and we may have the thought, boy, my life would be different if I had never had kids. Or, I wonder what I'd be doing right now if I had never had children. We have hard days, like it's not easy. The challenge is that when we're sober, we can sort that out, and we also remember happy times, and we know that, life goes up and down. Like we have that loving and logical part of ourselves that puts it all in perspective and knows that it has nothing to do with the children. It's just us. But when we've been drinking, especially if we've been drinking a lot, those filters are gone. And suddenly the children hear things like, I wish you'd never been born. My life would be so much easier if you weren't here. Or other things are said like, you're just going to be a loser just like your father. And these are things that no child should ever have to hear. And if you've heard that, it's really important to know it's not true, right? That this was your parents' fears speaking, their regret, their sadness. And for some people, alcohol brings on depression and despair. And those children learn soon from, their parents who really define God. They are who brought you into this world. These children learn that you can't trust people. At some point, they're going to screw you. And that life is always about difficulty and hardship. And life just isn't worth living most of the time. And if things are good, don't worry. It'll go bad again. This is just temporary. These are said in very formative times. And truthfully, it doesn't even require alcohol. These things can be shared without it in full sobriety as well. But the damage is long-term in the children, because those create the foundation for how we grow up and the filters for how we see the world. Obviously, in the extreme, where there's physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental, emotional abuse, the effects are really long-term. These are really hard to undo over time, or to understand, or to ever get an answer for why. But it's really important to know that this matters. And it isn't even so much about fixing it as understanding it's going to cause a certain worldview in you that really makes kindness and love challenging. But it's almost like when we bring it to the surface and we understand that it's there, and we understand that I may have certain survival mechanisms at work that may keep people at a distance or not be so trusting right away. Once we're aware of it, we see ourselves doing it, and then we can start shifting it or changing it. But as long as we keep it buried deep inside of us, it rules us, and it keeps us at a distance to keep us safe, because we don't want to be hurt like that again. Another effect I've seen with a lot of people whose parents were alcoholics is they have a real black and white perspective on the world. Growing up, they learned that some people were not safe. And once that person hurt you, they showed you who they were. And now you completely disregard them. Other people who are safe, that's good. But you still have a little wall up because you don't know, because you've been hurt a lot. But the greatest damage is the disconnect. The belief that being disconnected from someone is normal. Later we'll talk about what love is. And really, in its purest form, love is just connection. And if we're disconnected from those who are supposed to love us, we'll start to believe that's normal. So if our parents are drunk or high or on something, they naturally disconnect, right? They're different. You're not connecting with the same person. And that will start to feel normal, this disconnect, this aloneness. And that's really what harms us the most. Humans are meant to be connected. We have these big hearts that are meant to connect with others. This lack of connection has different effects on different children depending on the child. For some kids, when we have that disconnect, they'll retreat further into themselves, right? They'll become more shy, more reserved, more guarded, and that will continue through their whole life. Other kids will rebel against it, and they'll seek attention. They'll try to, do anything they can. This is where negative attention is better than no attention, because at least it's some kind of connection. And that too may follow them for most of their life, seeking the attention that they didn't get at home. And again, this does not have to have anything to do with addiction, right? It happens in all kinds of homes where there is no such addiction in sight. The bottom line is, we really need to redefine what love is. Because if you were raised in a home like this, with addiction or without, why would you ever want to bother with love and connection? If love means being hurt or ignored or abused or anything like that, why wouldn't you say, if that's what love is, I'm not interested? It's a natural response. But it's not all that's out there. For some reason, this was your experience. But there's more out there, and we can start fresh today.